Hey everyone, I'm Travis Wright, and you're listening to I'm a Fan Of, your show for music, comedy, and more. As always, if you are a musician, a comedian, or just someone that does something interesting, please reach out to me on Instagram at TravisCanListen. You can find me on Facebook at I'm a Fan Of, or you can reach out to me through the website at imafanofpod.com. Of course, if you just enjoy the show, please follow me there as well, and like and subscribe to the podcast. We're always putting out new stuff. This episode, we are featuring a hilarious comic, fairly new to the game, Mr. Exavier Poole. He is a hilarious stand-up comic. He's new. He's entry level. I love finding comics at this phase of their career and seeing how it goes. So you're kind of getting in on the ground level with me as well. He's also a podcaster, and I found out he's also had just some ridiculous jobs in the past. Not ridiculous, but just jobs that I would never take. He's been a parking enforcer, the guy who writes the parking tickets. He's also worked animal control, and we talk a little bit about that. I also think it's very fascinating to talk to him about his weight loss journey. He's a bigger guy. He's trying to lose some weight. He openly talks about it on social media, and I would love to nothing more than to follow that journey as he continues to lose weight. And he was kind enough to open up about some of that on the show as well. But most importantly, very funny comic. Be sure to go check out his show and enjoy him on this episode. Lastly, I just want to say goodbye to this current studio. This place has been really great for the growth of the show, for everything that I've done up to this point. But I'll be taking a little bit of time off to set up a new studio. Nothing crazy, just a couple weeks, but it might be a little bit of a gap between now and the next episode. I'm getting a brand new studio set up. I think it's going to be really great for the show. This current studio, there were a couple things that kind of impeded the progress. They kind of impeded some of the bookings, but it's been very good to me up to this point. It's just, thankfully, the show is growing, and it's time to move on. The new studio will be up and running. I will have more reviews, more interviews, lots of more interesting things coming up. So please stay tuned, and please bear with me with the brief gap in episodes that we're going to have. It's going to come back even stronger. But for now, enjoy this final episode here at this current studio. I can't think of a better person to share this experience with, Mr. Exavier Poole. The I'm a Fan Of podcast, music, comedy, and more. All right, Exavier Poole.
What's up, Travis?
Welcome to the show, man.
All right, man. Good to be here.
I have been so excited to talk to you, and I sent you a message because I was like, I haven't watched your stand-up in a while, but I remembered laughing hard, and I was like, I want to watch another show before I talk to you. But then I just got anxious. I was like, no, fuck that. I just want to talk to him. I'll catch another show when I catch another show.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming in, man.
I appreciate you for having me, man.
And thank you for the compliment. You said you liked this studio, which I appreciate.
Love it.
But you are officially my last interview in this studio.
What?
I'm moving to a new space next week that I'm real excited about. So you're going to be always a fond memory of like my final this location. Yeah, man. So really psyched about having you here, dude.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm really excited to talk to you about, because I know nothing about that world, is how much of the like comic, anime, all that stuff you're into, man. When did you start getting into that?
I mean, I've been into it like I've always been into it. Like even when I was a kid, I was Saturday morning cartoons, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z. You know, I've always been into it since I was a kid. I got started getting deep into it, like in my early 20s when I started finding out that there's more of a culture for it.
Yeah. You mean with like Comic-Con and all those types of things? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like you know, it's that's what it is. You know, it's like a hobby, but it has its own like world of information that you can learn and learn stuff from too. You jumped a huge gap, by the way. You were like, oh yeah, I used to love Saturday morning cartoons, and then in my 20s I got into it. Yeah.
So what were you doing between then as a kid? Were you just watching TV most of the time, or were you getting into it but you just didn't know others liked it?
Yeah. It's like I was just watching the TV shows. I didn't know that there was.
So like, what were the TV shows like the early TV shows you were watching?
Pokemon, of course, like Batman, Justice League Unlimited, Superman, all those old Saturday morning cartoons that used to come on, Digimon, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, and Naruto. Like I used to watch all those, but I didn't know like that. Like I know about comic books, but I didn't know you can read like mangas about the shows and stuff like that. I didn't know that they had whole different.
No, explain a manga.
Manga is like,
because my first introduction to all this, by the way, like it's out there, but I don't know anything about it. And have you seen that show Love on the Spectrum?
I haven't, but I heard of it.
Okay, so it's autistic people, and they're basically doing like a dating show. But, but it's not as horrific as it sounds. Like they do it very tastefully. It's very well done. It's not just you're not just laughing at awkwardness the whole time. But I had no idea how much how important is manga, right? That's how you say it.
Yeah,
how important manga was for those people who have like like they have crazy visual stimulation that they need. And they were like they were almost looking at people who liked anime like, you're a fucking poser, man. This is where it's at.
Manga people are are anime like the version of Have You Read the Book type people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. It's almost like a comic kind of.
Yeah, but it's like black and white. I mean, I don't read much manga, but I got into it when I was younger. That's why I used to read it a lot when I was younger. Now I don't read it as much, but yeah, it's like black and white. And it's just like basically comic books. They make them in English and they make them in Japanese also.
Yeah.
Of course, I read the English.
So
ones.
Somebody out there getting pissed at me because I called it a comic and not manga?
No.
Okay. All right,
it's the same. I look at it the same way either.
I don't want to get any like hate DMs. Like, how dare you?
Yeah, because them nerds will get you.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Pleasant Grove.
Pleasant Grove. So where are you buying this stuff or where are you finding it?
Well, I used to go to a comic book store that I still go to today called Urban Legends. Is it Urban Legends? I think it's Urban Legends. It's in Mesquite, right?
Okay.
Near Townies Mall.
Okay.
I go there and get my comic books from there. It's a real good store. I love going there all the time. Or I'll go to Titans, which is like 4 North Dallas.
Yeah. I'm learning because I was doing a little bit of like, once I knew you were kind of into this stuff, I was just kind of Googling random stuff. And I live in East Dallas, about a mile from Hyenas, Dallas. And did you know there's like a little comic book store across the street from Hyenas?
Yes, I forget the name of it, but I've been there.
Dude, and that's what I realized. I was like, holy shit, these things they're there, but like you have to know. Like if you know, you know. And then you start looking around, you're like, oh man, it's kind of everywhere.
Yeah,
but
and they've been there for years too.
Yeah, it didn't look like a brand new store.
Yeah,
because it's right next to like a Pilates studio and like some kind of sandwich place or something, and you're like, man, this is real subtle. And then you realize like, oh, I could have access to this if I wanted it, like crazy easy, not even having to do stuff online.
That's how profitable comic books and like collecting is. That stores like that, it's been open for years. And they beat the pandemic. That's how.
And there's no like, it's like going into an old vinyl record store. Like there's nothing fancy. It's old looking. It looks like they don't even buy a light bulb until they have to buy a light bulb.
Yeah,
but they're making money.
Some stores
like the customers don't care. They're like, no, they got what you want. That's all we care about.
Right. Yeah. That reminds me of how the stores used to be down here in Deep Ellum back in the day.
What do you mean?
I used to do parking enforcement down here.
No way. Right here in Deep Ellum?
Yes.
Where we're recording?
That's why it's so easy to navigate down here.
So you know the spots, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you walked up, I was like, did you have any trouble finding it? And you're like, man, did you have trouble finding it? I ran these streets.
Yeah.
Dude, how long did you do parking enforcement?
I only did it for a little over a year.
I have gotten one ticket down here.
Really?
Yeah, because right across the street from where we're recording, there's a space that doesn't have a meter. It doesn't have any no parking signs. But I guess you're still not allowed to park there. Maybe it's too close to driveways or something.
It ain't got no signs. You supposed to.
No, but I got a ticket, man, and they got me. And they got me because you're looking at the ticket, and it's like, if I just go online and pay this bitch, it's $20. Right? But if I want to fight it and argue,
you'd probably get thrown out.
To me, I was just like, I'll pay it. I won't park there again. I won't worry about it. Because I've seen other people get tickets there. And it's like, man, there's probably just one parking person who is just a little mixed up on that spot. And it's like, what am I? But part of me was like, maybe I could just talk to him. And I was like, the amount of talking to this person probably gets, they probably don't give a shit. Like, how many people were confronting you about tickets?
Oh my gosh, dude! It was always the rich people. It was never like the people who in the low, like, because unfortunately I had to write tickets in low income areas. People in the area, they didn't argue much. They left you alone.
Yeah,
like
I grew up poor, so they're like me. They're just like, I'll just pay it.
Yeah, it's just another strike on my bullshit day. I'm just going. They're already good with disappointment, so they just go. But like I remember downtown, this dude had a really nice Bentley. He'd always park in like the no parking zone and move it real quick before they came.
Really?
One day I caught him, put it there. That dude had like, oh my God, he called me so many cuss words. He's like, oh, you can eat my ass. I was like, what? Who says that in a car?
How did we just get to a date? I thought you were angry.
Right. Yeah, but it was always like in like the high end, and people always think like, was it this race or that race? Nah, it was everybody who's rich.
It was that way when I waited tables, right? Like there was never a race that was weird. It was always a money thing. It like poor people were always really cool. And like your lower middle class were always really cool. Yeah, I waited tables at Chili's, and you had people where like you're poor and you're lower middle class. That was like, we're going for a night out. Like we're going to Chili's. Damn it, we saved up some money. Things are good. And then anything above that kind of looked at it like, this is just fucking Chili's. Like, and that's where a lot of the the people who had like a ton of that, like those people who are like, the way you're going to get a tip from me is if my drink runs empty, you refill it without me asking. And it's like, oh my God, dude, I'm sorry you suck down 8 iced teas in one meal. Like, I'll do my best. You know?
Good luck with your bladder infection, you bastard.
When you were doing the parking enforcement, one thing I would think I would be paranoid of all the time is just someone physically assaulting me over a parking ticket. Did you ever have any issues with that? Like, were you ever scared doing that job?
No, honestly, you find that job made me realize that like I could bitch people out because I'm a nice person. Like even back then, I was a nice person. It was hard to make me angry. Like I'm always smiling, and like when people don't want to like argue with a big, huge black person, like so a lot of people left me alone. A couple of people will argue with me. It was a lot of women that would argue with me a lot.
Really?
I think they knew that I wouldn't do nothing to them, but they
just wanted to vent.
They. But you
were never in a situation where you felt like somebody was about to just like punch you or push you or nothing.
Nah, and that used to be working in Deep Ellum back in the day, down at in like
Deep Ellum
10 o'clock at night.
Deep Ellum's new now. People don't know Deep Ellum used to be fucking rough.
Yeah,
and like it's got a couple rough spots here and there now, but it used to be very stabby, very shooty.
I remember one night it was I was walking. It was down there. It was actually on Commerce. No, it was on Main Street down there near Crowdis. And this dude, he's like, because I was working for the police department at the time. It was parking enforcement. We didn't have no weapons or nothing.
So you're working so it's parking enforcement, but you work for the police department. You're employed by them. Okay.
So this guy comes up to me. He's like, hey. I'm thinking he's about to argue with me about the ticket. I was like, contested at court. And I just didn't want to be bothered. He's like, there's this guy walking around here with a stick. I think he's going to do something. I was like, bro, leave me alone, please. And I turn around. I see like this crackhead with a stick just walking like really sneaky. He had a mask on and everything. I knew who it was. This is this guy with 1 foot. But like he go down there and cause mischief. And I was like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I fucking left.
He just kind of thought you were a cop probably?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, man, yeah. That's got to suck too. Like this guy thinks he's being like a good Samaritan, and you're just like, dude, this ain't my shift. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
Oh, that's a wild job, man. That's one of those jobs where, like, you forget that that's a human being that works that job. It's so easy to be like, man, fuck them, fuck parking enforcement, and like. It's probably like one step above like the call centers, like the cold call companies, in terms of how angry people get.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's like you got to have a really good you got to have a really good calm head when you work in that job.
Yeah, I couldn't do it, man. I would lose my temper so quick. Yeah, there's no way. That's impressive. When you were in Deep Ellum, did you start learning all like the usual characters that run around here?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I like all the homeless people I got cool with because I used to buy them food and stuff like that. Yeah. So they'd be like, hey, this dude over there parked on a fire hydrant. I was like, that don't help me.
They're hooking you up.
I was like,
they think you work on commission, right?
Right. Yeah. I was like, that don't help me. Yeah, I was like, okay.
Dude, that'd be a good hustle though. Like if you did work on commission and you had the homeless people, like, hey man, we'll tell you when they're parking. You just give us a cut, buy me a hot dog.
Yeah, I used to take care of the homeless people down here when I worked at parking first. But I used to buy them food and give them like a couple bucks every time.
Yeah, the homeless people down here have never scared me. Yeah, it's the people that come down to Deep Ellum that don't normally come down to Deep Ellum. Those are the ones that always kind of worry me. Same. Like the people who get way too drunk and they're not used to just hanging out.
Don't know how to control their anger and stuff like that. I hate that.
Yeah. It's never been like you never walk by like the packed bars that have like the regulars and get freaked out. You never get freaked out by the homeless because usually they just pass you by.
You just walk past them. Then
Dude, I used to be in a band like a long time ago. And if you go down to the end of Deep Ellum, like past like the double wide area and like kind of in that Fair Park area, there were these rehearsal spaces called Bishop Manor Rehearsal where you would rent them by the month and you would, practice your music there, right? So all of our equipment was there all the time. And then when we had shows, we would pack up, leave there and go wherever. And we were coming through Deep Ellum one day and our brakes on our van something was happening and like the front brakes were locking up, but the rear brakes were. And so we're going down the street and we're kind of idiots. We don't know what it's doing. And it's just like smoke's coming out. And one of the homeless guys who we had seen all the time, who we like were just kind of friendly with but didn't really know him. Yeah. He was like, he's running beside us. He's like, it's your brakes, man. It's your brakes. And we stop and we're like, what? And he's like, you got tools? And I was like, yeah, we have some tools. And he grabbed our tools, hopped under there, and then just fixed our fucking brakes. And was like, you got any money? And I was like, yeah, we got money. Here you go. Man, 7-Eleven's right here. Because we were down by like Good Latimer and Elm. I was like, yeah, dude, let's buy you some food, some drinks. And it was so cool. And then we would keep seeing him after that and say hi. And then the next time he saw us in that van, then it got weird because he was like extra high that day on something. And he wanted to get in with us and go to our show with us. And we were like, I mean, you know, like, you're cool, man, but like not that cool. Like, we don't want you.
That much. We're not friends,
you
but
know, he was a very friendly white homeless guy, and I only say that because we found out later he had a bunch of white supremacist like prison tattoos, like the secret ones where you're in the
those
gangs.
are usually the nicest ones, honestly.
They were really. He was really nice, and he fixed our brakes. He just had some questionable views about other things. Like,
you have a conversation. I've had a conversation with a guy like that. Didn't know he was that until I saw his tattoos like on another day. I was like,
I can't remember. Is it called like a peckerhead or a peckerwood tattoo?
I think it's Peckerwood. Yeah, it's Peckerwood. My grandpa used to say Peckerwood, so that's the right.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he had something like that, which I think it literally was like it looked like a little woodpecker bird or something. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not up on my prison tattoos.
Yeah. No. I mean. Yeah. No. Me either.
Were you doing comedy already when you were doing the parking enforcement?
No, I actually comedy for a little. Almost. I'll be 2 years next month.
I know you're new into it. But
yeah. It'll be 2 years in April, actually.
Okay. Wow.
I've always.
But that's kind of a perfect job for a comic because one, you get thick skin fast. Like you don't get bothered by insults at that point.
Yeah.
And so you don't like. Did working a job like that help you with like bombing on stage when you're brand new? Or is it totally different?
It's totally different because, I mean, I don't know. I can't explain how it's different, but it's different. But like it did build up some kind of, I mean, like thick skin. Like it helped build that up. It helped me be able to maybe like brush things off. Like, okay. Yeah. Moving on. I'll figure it out.
Do you get many hecklers yet?
No, I've only gotten one, and I handled it.
Yeah, because you got a real friendly vibe on stage.
That's what I'm starting to learn.
You know what I mean? When I watched you, it's like before you even said a word, I was like, I think I'm gonna like this guy. You've got where if I were to get on stage, people would be like, what's he gonna talk about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what made you get the jump into comedy? What made you want to start performing?
I've always been interested in comedy. Always been a comic fan. I used to go to shows. If you go through my Instagram, you'll find me at shows at the Improv. Like almost at least once a month. I used to do it. But like what made me really like get into it is when I started on my podcast and we got signed to the Black Effect Network.
Yeah, and
you start getting little people telling you, "Hey, you're funny. You should do stand up. You should do stand up."
I was thinking the podcast came after the comedy because that's how it kind of goes these days.
Yeah.
So you were already doing that? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're one of the like rare people doing a podcast.
Yeah. Well, I did, and then and I always had a friend, my friend Josh. He's always been motivating me. And he's like, yeah, you should do stand up, dude. Because he's the one, that friend that you can just say anything to, y'all talk shit to all the time. Like that's my best friend. So he's like, yeah, dude, you should do stand up.
What's his last name?
Joshua Paget.
Paget. Okay, I don't think I know him yet. Yeah, there's another Josh that I was thinking of. But
it's a lot of Joshes.
Yeah.
But and I finally started. I was like, okay, let me see what I need to do. This is a funny story with parking enforcement too. If you remember Dallas Comedy House, you remember Cal Austin? Yeah. He used to be, owner there. I almost wrote him a ticket one day. Yeah, he was like, "Hey, I work at the Comedy House. I own the place. Hey, don't write me a ticket. Come there one day for open mic." And like I was already, even back then, I was already interested in comedy, but I just was scared to do it. Yeah. And I never went to the open mic. He said, "Come through on the open mic. You come through and have a drink and stuff like that." But I never took him up on the offer. But I remembered his name, and then when I wanted to get into comedy, I like hit him up on Instagram. I was like, "Hey, I want to get into comedy, but I need some advice, some pointers on like how to." Did
you hit him up like, "Hey, I was the guy who almost gave you a ticket"?
Exactly like that.
Oh, that's
I wish
so
I
cool.
could find a message. I'd read it to you. Like, hey, I almost gave you a ticket in Deep Ellum back in the day. I know this is like,
dude, those are the best kind of stories though, where it went from like, because you didn't know you were going to give a ticket to the owner of a comedy club that day, or and the way he handled it too. Like he could have yelled, he could have been like, "Do you know who I am? I'm a business owner," and say, like, "Let me hook you up, man. Let's That's pretty cool." So did he respond to that message?
He did, and he actually gave me some really, really good pointers on because I sent them some video of like my jokes, me saying my jokes. He gave me some really good pointers on it, and I wrote
saying
down
your jokes like just like in your room at a house. You were telling jokes?
Yeah,
no way.
Yeah, dude,
you were just videoing yourself.
Awkward thing on this planet.
What made you decide to do that? Like you wanted to make a tape or what?
I really wanted to get into comedy. Like I just really, and I knew he knew comedy, and
you were thinking like, I'll make a tape for guys who work at the clubs, or you were saying I want to see how my comedy? Like, did you make it so you could watch it, or so other people could watch it?
No, I made it so he can watch it.
Oh, just for him?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that is really, dude. You're like a brave person, by the way.
Yeah. No,
parking enforcement, filming yourself for strangers. Like, dude, that's a smart move, but it's a bold move. Like the average person won't do that.
Yeah, I know. I'm figuring it out now. How like, but I sent him like video of a couple of my jokes I was saying, and of course it was a terrible video. But he said, "Hey, just set your jokes up like this." You know, he told me about the rule of three, little things that really helped, and I was able to build me a small set from it. And nice. I went to Arlington Improv back when they was doing the well, they still do the open mic there, but I went to Arlington Improv. I think it was like 2020 and 2021, I think.
Yeah. Oh God. So you started right during the pandemic too.
Yeah.
That fucking sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but hey, you know, if you're gonna start it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I went and I did really good, and it was like that's when I was like, okay, I need to start getting into comedy more.
That's one of the clubs I've not gone to, just because Arlington's just in like this weird zone that I don't think about. I live here in Dallas, so I'm usually going. The time I think of Arlington is when I'm driving to Fort Worth, and I'm like, "Fuck, I should get to Arlington Improv more," you know? Because there's always shows going on there that I want to watch. But I usually see the flyer for it like the day of or the day after.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I need to get out to that improv. I've literally never stepped foot in that, and I've been in every comedy club in town, so I feel like I have to get there.
Yeah,
you know?
I like it. I was there. I was there 2 weeks ago to see Sam J. CJ Starr was featuring for Sam J. and Corey Cherry open. I went to go see then. So, I mean, like I said, that's one of them clubs, like even before I was doing comedy, I used to be at all the time because I would go see Lavelle Crawford.
So that was kind of like your first club that you were really watching as a fan?
That and Addison.
Yeah.
Addison Improv.
Hyenas Dallas is that way for me.
Really?
Yeah. So like no matter how much I want to criticize some of the stuff of that club, it's like it's always the club I really love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I've had so many great memories there. And anything I would criticize is nothing horrible. Like I always look at places thinking like, here's what you should do, here's what you shouldn't, which is a really arrogant way to look at it.
Yeah.
But I still love it. Like for some reason there can be better clubs, but that'll be the one that I watched the first shows at and was going to the most. And that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Do you remember a moment where you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this? What was it?
That was that.
Because that's a big jump to go from I love comedy to let's write some jokes.
That's what, like, when he when I sent my stuff over to Kyle, he, like, the pointers he gave me, he was like, hey, if it feels awkward, then you're doing it like right. Like nobody feels confident their first time going up. If they do, then that's them. But and that's when it was like, I was like, I'm gonna just do it. And it was a Tuesday night, and I had already pre-signed up. They put me on the list, which now that I'm in comedy now, I'm like, that's like really cool that nobody knows who I am to get on that open mic list. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Because for people who don't know, it's really difficult for new people to get spots, even at open mics, because we're fortunate here in DFW. There's so many people trying to do it that people, you either don't make the list or you're going on at 1 in the morning, and it kind of sucks.
Oh, I did the 1 in the morning hyenas list.
The hyenas open mic is a rough one because it goes so late, and it's on Wednesdays, right?
Yeah, Wednesdays.
Yeah, and that place can get really empty, and it's a big room, and it can get rough in there. I've gone a couple times and watched the entire open mic from start to finish, just to feel the ebb and flow of it all, and it's a good open mic, but it gets weird sometimes.
Yeah, if you don't drink, you not gonna have.
I took my wife, and she was grinding her teeth so hard. She's like, "I'll never come back with you again," because it gets so awkward sometimes. Because the very first time I went, I didn't realize how many comics there were going to be. So, I didn't know that there was this whole system where, like, there's so many people, we're going to have a block of, 10 comics or whatever, and then we're going to have 10 blocks of comics. And you're like, Jesus, I'm about to watch, like, 70 people perform comedy tonight.
Lucky you.
Yeah. So the first open mic was Arlington Improv?
Yeah, it was Arlington Improv.
Did it go well?
It went really well. Like, I'm not even lying. People say that. I'm not even lying. It went really well. And it's comics that was there that that saw it. That I wish I had recorded it. I wish I had, but I didn't.
Man.
But yeah, it went really well, and I was like, yeah, this is for me. I need to start getting into comedy more.
Yeah. Are you recording your sets now?
Yeah, audio. I'm getting a camera now, so I can start doing video now.
Good.
Yeah, slow and steady, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. Well, it's good just to see what we see. You know, about you don't realize you're moving an arm weird or something,
Right.
whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you think when you were starting? Did you think about like this is going to be my style? This is the kind of stuff I want to write about. Were you thinking that way, or what was your process when you're like, I'm going to write a joke?
I was going to write a joke when I first started.
Or just like what your persona, like who you were going to be on stage.
Oh, I was I don't know. I was just like go out there and tell a funny story. I didn't know who I was gonna be. I said I knew like I want to be that person. Be like I want to be like this comedian. I want to be like this comedian. I want to be able to find my own style, and that's kind of how I approached it. Like just go out there, do you, and you'll figure it out as you go along.
Yeah.
And I guess the reason why I can't fully answer the question because I'm still kind of figuring it out.
That's what I was going to ask. Is do you think you've even landed on it yet?
I don't think
2 years
have.
is, for people who don't know, it's like 2 years is a long time, but it's very, very new in comedy still.
Yeah.
So it's like you're still figuring everything out. This is the fun time. This is when I love meeting you guys and watching you guys.
Yeah.
Because in another 2 or 3 years from now, I get to see how much better it gets, you know?
I wish because Sean Murphy was, oh man, that was like very beginning.
Yeah, that's the show. That's the last show I remember watching you at.
Yeah.
And I think just because it was a show, not an open mic. But yeah.
It's so much, and then my act is so much different from that now. So
yeah, but it's good though, like, because even then, you know, I've watched enough comedy now. It's like you can tell when somebody, I don't want to be like, you can tell when someone's got it. It's not like that. But it's like you can tell when someone is going to be doing well, that they're just like massaging their craft. They're just weaving their jokes how they want to. And I don't remember any rough spots in your set. It was just like, yeah, this seems perfect for like a host opener kind of setup, you know?
Yeah.
And because how much material did you even have at that point?
I think it was 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's how much I was doing.
Did you feel like you had 10 minutes though?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a solid 10.
Yeah.
But it was that same 10 I don't even do no more. A lot of jokes is totally different from that 10.
Yeah.
Some of the jokes that was in that 10 is totally different now. So it's, you know,
that's probably for the better, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. That's what I'm saying. It's for the better. Definitely for the better. But yeah, it's solid 10. I went up there with, and everybody said I did good. You know.
Yeah. Is that are you talking about any of this other material? Because I haven't got to watch like your updated set yet. Are you doing any of the stuff we just talked about, like the anime? The love of that stuff, the parking enforcement. Have you been weaving any of it? Because all of that's very interesting.
I've been trying to figure out how to weave in the parking enforcement. I'm working on it. Like I'm in the writing stages of a parking enforcement joke. Yeah, I'm working out a anime joke now. So you know, I'm starting to weave it in slowly but surely.
I feel like that's one of those topics where you're in it, right? So to you, that world all makes a lot of sense all the time, right? And nothing's that fascinating about it because it's your hobby.
Yeah.
But to someone like me who's not into that world, it's like I feel like I could watch you do 30 minutes on just that world. You know what I mean? Like you need to sit down, I guess, maybe with people who don't get it at all, who are almost maybe a little like insulting about it for you to be able to go, oh, they think that's weird. This part's strange, and then start writing your jokes. You know? Because it is fascinating. That culture is so huge, but it's still somehow underground.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And it's starting to seep into the mainstream little by little. Yeah. Especially in the black community. Like, black people freaking love anime. It's like crack almost.
Really?
Like black people. Like, I'm seriously.
Interesting.
And it just like, it's really big.
What do you think's up with that?
I don't know. And this is part of, like, it's part of my joke that I'm working on. But it's a lot of similarities in anime and the hood. Like, seriously.
Okay. Go on.
Like, if you think about it, it's a lot, because a lot of anime characters, all they do is fight. They gotta fight to prove themselves. It's kind of like how it is in the hood. Like, you gotta either fight or talk shit to prove yourself. That's kind of how it is in anime. So it's similarities.
I'm just picturing like some dudes in the hood playing like Pokemon Go.
That's usually how it be.
No way. You're kidding me.
You will go to the hood, Pleasant Grove right now. You'll probably catch somebody trying to catch a Pokemon.
Seriously?
Pokemon Go. Yeah. And he probably have like a Glock on him too.
Is that game still popular?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay. What is like the most popular one right now? What's the big thing?
Like in the Pokemon world, or like
no, just anything. Like what are people moving into?
People are starting to really get into because Fortnite was used to be the big thing, but now people are moving away from it. And I know people are starting to move a lot into like PC gaming. I know Warzone is still popular. I just got a Switch and Mario Kart.
Oh, that's making a comeback?
Oh, it's been
okay. Well, so the last time I was big into video games of any kind, like I remember my dad. It was weird. We were really poor, but we somehow had a rental property. I don't remember how this worked, but like we grew up in a really small like white trash town where I always say like it was in the country, but it was more of like a meth town. We didn't have like
sounds like Seagoville.
We didn't have like horses and cows, you know. We had like strung out people who couldn't live in the city anymore. Anyway. Like the renter, I don't think could pay rent or something one time, and instead they gave us like an original Nintendo.
Oh wow!
And it's like, all right, that's cool. So that was like our introduction. It was like Mario Brothers, and we, I remember playing that. I have an older brother. We were fighting over that all the time. And then we got like a Sega later on. I don't think we ever had a Super Nintendo. I think we went right from Nintendo to Sega somehow. Really? Yeah. And then when I got older and like had money and was working jobs and stuff, that's when it turned into like PlayStation and Xbox. Yeah. So I would always buy a PlayStation, but my friends would always have an Xbox, and we'd play on that. Yeah. And on PlayStation, I could not get enough of like Gran Turismo. Those types of games. I loved the racing, earning credits, building cars. Like I loved the whole feat of like it's almost like real racing. Like the only thing they could have done different that would have made it more real is like you weren't allowed to race today. You had to like go to your job and flip burgers to like make money. And then like late high school, we got into the original Halo. Where we were doing like, where we were doing like the LAN parties, where you set up like, I think you could set up like four Xboxes together, and you could do like, 8-on-8 teams. Yeah. And so we would like, like we weren't even, it's weird. I had a group of friends that it was like, we would get like, we'd steal like liquor and beer from wherever we could, and we'd go get drunk and hang out in a field. Right. And then I had the other set of friends where it's like, we'd get chips and sodas and snacks, and we'd play Halo for 5 hours. Yeah, right?
I had that kind of group growing up too. Like you're two, like they'd never meet, but you enjoyed.
Yeah. Well, no, we would do some where you didn't see them, but we would do a lot of them where you'd set up like 4 Xboxes in different rooms of one house.
Oh, okay.
So you were all there.
Oh, wow.
So you'd be
I was really into it.
Yeah. So like if somebody got a good kill, you just hear in the other room like, fuck you. And then after that, I think I had a roommate. Him and I got really big into the original Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, that's
loved that game,
masterpiece game.
And then after that, man, it's like I just got too busy. I couldn't game anymore. And I have a wife and a kid now, and she's like, "Why don't you get another thing?" I'm like, I don't think you realize, like, I'll be up till like 4 a.m. playing this shit.
You won't exist no more.
I love it so much. And I've never gotten into the PC side of gaming. Yeah. But I look at it and I'm like, oh, I would love that.
I haven't gotten into it either.
I can tell I would get really, really into it. Because it'd be one of those things where at first I wouldn't know what the fuck I was doing, so it would really frustrate me. Yeah. And then I'd have to figure it out. And then once you figure it out and you're like, there's so much more versatility. Like, you get big with it.
You figure out how to do things, tricks and stuff like that, and then you never leave in the game.
Video games were such a huge part of my life. Even like, I always played some kind of sport. And that was like the big thing is like after the game, you went to CC's back when they used to have like the banging game rooms. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Go back there and play like The Simpsons or some shit like
anything.
that.
Yeah, man. Whatever they had. And way early on, I think the games were free. And so you could just show up and play. It was either there or it was this little small pizza place in our small town that had free games. I can't remember which one. But so now I watch all this gaming stuff with envy. Yeah. I never understood how people could watch someone play a video game, like watching like a Twitch or something. Yeah. And now I'm like, no, I get it, because I can't play, but I still want to see it.
Yeah, it's kind of like watching sport. I had my brother had to, my little brother had to make me realize. It's kind of like, to them, it's kind of like watching, because that's younger generation than
what
me.
Is
watching the video games. Yeah. So I didn't get it at first, but it's kind of like, you want to be good at something, you watch the people who are good at it, and that's what they do. So
when it's like when you see someone, like if someone's on the original Mario and they clear a level like fast as hell, no problems, you're like, shit, I could never do that. Right. And it's like I'll never be able to play that way, so I might as well watch this person do it real quick. I just have a Switch. I hadn't
Oh my gosh, PlayStation. I haven't played PlayStation in so long, but
what's your system that you like?
I love the PlayStation.
But what do you have right now?
I have a Switch.
Oh, okay.
Nintendo, people sleep on Nintendo. Nintendo is very powerful in the gaming world.
Okay.
But that's one I play on now. My Nintendo, I play that either when I'm at home or I'm on my lunch break.
Yeah. I didn't know it was that, because the Switch is handheld, right?
Yeah, it's handheld.
I didn't know it was that powerful of a gaming system.
It's handheld, and you can hook it up to your TV to play it regularly. And it's easy to play with, like, you just have the system here, and I can give you a controller. And
yeah, because controllers just break off, right? Like, as little pieces.
Yeah.
Nintendo is the OG. So I didn't know Mario Kart was that huge still.
Yeah, dude. They still do tournaments for it and everything like that.
Really?
Make a lot of money off of them.
What's a lot of money?
Like, I think one of them they did was like $500,000. For,
no way.
Like the winner. But that's from like some really cold-blooded people that you probably
Have you seen those videos where in the competitions, like the little nerdy gamers are like getting up, cussing people out for something? Like, it's like, damn, dude, this is serious. And then you hear like, no, there's $500,000 on the line. And it's like, oh shit, yeah.
They get popped for PEDs and everything like that.
What kind of PED do you use in gaming?
They do some crap. It's not like steroids, but like it's
like Adderall or something.
Adderall is big. Adderall is huge in the game world, and like stuff like that on long lines of that.
Wow.
That help you concentrate and shit like that. Yeah, this I didn't know it was that serious, but yeah.
Yeah. What's going to be real fun is when the gamers and the drone flyers, pilots, whatever you call them, as they slowly start to mesh, because drones are basically like real first person games now. But you have to have that gamer dexterity, you know,
like the hand-eye coordination.
Yeah. Well, because that kind of burst my bubble when I was like, I'm 37 now, and I was like, oh, even if I wanted to get back into games now, I'll never be good at them, because it's like the older you get, you start losing that hand-eye coordination just to shitty, you know, aging or whatever.
They have actually, it's funny. They have an anime. I forget the name of it. That explains that exactly. Like where they have like this older gamer, and he's getting booted out by the younger, because he's not as quick as it used to be, because he's getting older. Yeah, that's funny how that is. But that's like So
what kind of anime does it for you? What do you like to watch?
Right now I'm on My Hero Academia. It's anything with like high action. They have so many different kinds. Like they have some where it's just cooking show. They have some where it's like basketball.
Cooking show anime?
Yeah. It's the dumbest thing ever, but like people love it.
Hey, you know.
Yeah.
So yours is a lot of action?
Action. You gotta be fighting. Blood and beating people up and stuff like that.
All right. Did you have you ever heard of Sturgill Simpson? He's a country musician.
I've heard,
Have you heard of his anime? He's a wild guy, first of all. I talk about Sturgill on this podcast a lot, so I'm very sorry, people. But he started out, he's a country musician, but he's just got a huge music background, right? It's like you love comedy, but you probably love tons of comics, right?
Yeah.
And so his first couple albums were pretty strictly kind of country music. And then he put out an album that was like a mix of like country and soul and Motown music. And then he put out an album that was kind of like, it was kind of like a poppy psychedelic rock album. So totally different. And he had an entire anime film put up on Netflix that goes 100% like start to finish with the album. So when you turn it on, it's like the anime is the start of the album. It's just music the whole way through, and then they've written scenes to go along with each song.
All right,
and it's pretty badass. Yeah, I'll send you a link to it, but it should be on Netflix. And I mean, it's pretty awesome. Like that was one of those things too, where you start to realize like, oh. There's a lot of people you don't think of that are into this shit.
Yeah, that's how.
Because there's no way he made money off of that. He probably lost a shitload of money writing that anime. He just wanted to do it.
Yeah,
just because like his country fans aren't going to be like, hell yeah, man, he's putting out this fucking new anime.
Yeah, and that's the thing though. Like that's what I'm learning now, that being on the Black Effect Network and having a podcast, there's a lot of celebrities out there that are just secret nerds, and that have, and you see little inklets of it in the stuff that they do.
It makes sense though. Like if you're in any kind of artistic endeavor, that would appeal to you on some level, because that's all it is. It's just like, let's go outside of the normal TV show. Let's get a little crazy and fun with it. And
most people who are in like acting or like the arts or like writing, they're usually people who are like they grew up nerdy. Like they grew up like, the nerdy person stuff. Like, so it's kind of makes sense that they're into it. So
yeah. So is that true for you? Were you super nerdy?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. Well, what do you think was the nerdiest thing about you when you were young?
I used to, I don't know. I went through phases. Like,
yeah.
Like high school, I was the all black. I was almost an emo kid, but I was a band nerd also.
Band, like high school band nerd?
High school band nerd. And I used to wear the all black all the time. Glasses.
I used to wear all black all the time.
Yeah.
I went through a phase where I was huge into all the bands like Korn and Limp Bizkit and all that.
Yeah.
And so, do you know what Jinkos are?
Yeah, the big ass pants.
Yeah. Jinkos, that was like, so Jinkos is on like a second wave.
Yeah.
But when they first came out, it was like the shit. And then me being in this little small town, like the high school I went to, there were 80 people in my graduating class.
Oh, damn.
Small, right?
Yeah.
So when you had like on baggy ass black Jinkos and a black shirt that had some band on it, and then you wore like stupid necklaces.
Yeah.
Like we would make necklaces out of like paper clips and bullshit.
Yeah, I
Just
remember that shit.
anything to be different, right? And the rest of them were like, man, this boy ain't right. What the fuck's wrong with him? You know?
And see, that's the weird thing. I like all black, but I always had fresh kicks. Like that,
okay.
the hood aspect. But then I didn't listen to like the emo rock music. I listened to country music.
You just like the fashion of it.
Yeah.
So you're listening to, you were dressing like an emo, listening to country.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your country jams?
Oh man, Brad Paisley's one of my favorites.
Okay. Yeah.
George Strait.
I have, well, of course, George Strait.
Of course, George Strait.
You know what I love about George Strait is normally I would hate people that don't write their own music, but he was always so open about it. He's like, I can't write a fucking song, but I can sing one. It's like, all right, cool. Yeah,
and
let's
I
do
kind of
this.
understand that. Like,
Yeah. It's like the guy loves music so much. He knows he sucks at the writing part. So he's like, but I want to sing.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, cool, man. Yeah, good for you. Let's do it. It was something about like, it was still very honest that he knew he couldn't do it. And then, Brad Paisley, I did not get him at all for a long time. And I have a friend who is a really, really accomplished guitar player. His name is Mike Tuck. And he plays professionally. And he played on touring country bands. And then he actually went to the Air Force as a guitar player.
Oh, that's
so
dope.
he played guitar in the Air Force band.
I've seen
which
the
is
Air
really
Force
cool.
band too. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking to me about Brad Paisley. He's like, you don't understand how good he is at guitar. And I was like, I don't know, man. It looks lame. He's like, just listen to it. And I gave it a chance. I was like, okay, all right. I see what you got going on here. But that's interesting, man. So growing up in the hood, watching anime, dressing like an emo, and listening to country music.
Imagine how my life was.
Yeah, dude. Your parents must have been wondering what the hell was going on.
That's what's like. My parents worked a lot, so they couldn't pay attention to like. Once I got to high school, they stopped paying attention to what I was dressing to and what I was listening to. So, and I've always had a diverse group of friends, and a lot of my influence come from my diverse group of friends. As you can see, I wore fresh kicks all the time, but I was wearing all black emo, but I was listening to country music.
Yeah.
So this diversity in my groups of friends that like influence my style and stuff like that.
That's kind of how my upbringing was. I had divorced parents, so when I got into high school and they were divorced, basically they were each trying to make their own way. And it was just kind of like, is he dead? No. Is he doing something that might kill him? No. All right, he's probably fine.
Yeah, at a certain point, that's where it gets.
Yeah. So you could do a lot, man. You could get away with so much. And like I said, I always played sports. But then when I was 14, that's when I started playing guitar. And that's when I really got into like any kind of rebellious music or stuff. Like, you're in that small town. It's like you just want to push against the grain. You don't even know why. You're just trying to rebel against something. And then I think a lot of it is like, look at me, like notice me. Like, and so it was real interesting because I would have like I said, like my jock group of friends that I played, basketball and soccer with. Yeah. And then I had like the musician artistic friends. Yeah. that we felt like we're more outcast and, and what was funny is both groups always thought like they were the coolest groups. Yeah. You know what I mean? Each one was like, we're the cool ones. They're the fucking losers. Yeah. I think it's good to grow up that way. Like you were talking about having this wide, diverse group because I think you get so much perspective just on people. You do. That you end up being a way better person down the line. Like my best friend Josh, he taught me like black people have this kind of stereotype about white people, like all white people rich and stuff like that. He taught me a lot. Like it's a class thing. Like that, you know what I'm saying? And there is racism and stuff out there, but he taught me a lot of things differently from what I learned, like from what people have told me. So from that's why I learned to always have a diverse group of people around me. Yeah. So I could know, I know how other people, it helps me gauge how other people think and stuff like that. Yeah. And, that's really the key to all the bullshit that goes on with politics and stuff right now, whether it's like racism, abortion, guns, it's like, I feel like politicians and stuff, they really just use that stuff to keep us fighting against each other. You know what I mean? That's exactly how that's really all it is. Because like you said, it's like a lot of this racism, it's that true lack of understanding,
Yeah.
right? Because my upbringing was a total opposite, right? Pretty much predominantly white, some like Hispanics, and then we would have like the token black guy at school, right? And that was the kind of small town we were in. And it's like, I remember growing up, and the adults, whenever I was, in middle school, it's like they would run, I think it was like a Cheerios commercial that had like the first mixed race.
Family,
like a black and white husband and wife, and people were just up in arms about it, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember like the adults in my life having conversations about like, I mean, it's not wrong, but the hell they're going to put those children through. They just should know better. Like all this kind of stuff, And then my parents grew up here in Dallas and Garland at a time when they were forcing integration.
Yeah.
So they were busing black, and I don't know if it was just black students to white schools or if it was mixing both ways. I really don't know the history on that well. But basically, like, the students that were being bussed in didn't want to go to the school, and the school that was receiving them didn't want them there either. So there was constant fights and all this kind of stuff. And so that was really eye-opening on, like, oh, that's why there's this underlying racism all the time, is because the people they knew growing up, it was always a fight. It was always a thing. And then as they got older, they would still cling to some of that. And you'd be like, well, what about so-and-so that you work with? And it was always like, well, they're one of the good ones, right? And then you start realizing like, well, everyone happens to be one of the good ones.
Yeah.
Who are the bad ones? And they'd be like, well, they're out there. Like
an imaginary story or something like that.
Yeah, and it's like, you realize it's like, oh, they're not racist. There's just this weird fear back there that they can't let go of. And on both sides, right?
Yeah, on both sides.
And it's like, but once they meet and hang out, they're like, I was worried, but it's like, they're a nice person, got a good job, good family. It's like, yes, the majority of people.
It's like you can't go head first into thinking maybe that person's racist. Like
right.
You gotta have an open mind about it, because there is racist people out there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. The problem is it's fewer than you think, but those people just do so much with their racism. Right. They're so like I mean, like I said, I was in a small town. One of the craziest things I ever heard was we had a gas station that was owned. It was our only gas station. The gas station was next to the feed store. Yeah. And that was the only thing out there. And they were both owned by this guy. I'm pretty sure his name was Willard, because I think the store was called Willard's. And
that sounds like a country gas.
Oh, and he's country, man. Like cowboy hat, tucked in shirt, cigarette smokes in the front pocket. Oh, and at some point, he, I guess, sold it all. And he sold it to... They were Middle Eastern. I don't know, like if it was like Pakistan, Iran. I don't know what it was, but he sold it, and these guys moved in. So these like Middle Eastern guys take over the gas station post 9/11. It was right after 9/11 had happened.
Yeah.
And man, the shit you would hear in that gas station towards these dudes who clearly had nothing to do with that. Yeah. And we're just trying to they're probably thinking like, look at this great business opportunity. We buy this gas station. We finally make it. We immigrated here. This is what it's about. Yeah. And
not so much.
Oh my God, dude. Because I'm sure we all know the N-word, but they added sand to that for those dudes.
Know,
okay, yeah. So it's like, I remember being, like a teenager, and some dude's mad that the gas prices are going up. And it's like, dude, that's the war. That's not this guy.
That's
and
not
the government controls the gas price. This guy doesn't think what will get these Americans.
That's the real reason the war is for.
Right, right. And so he was mad, that it went up, and he's like, how much is this shit? And he's like, God damn, well, just give me 10 on pump 4. And you need to come down on that shit, you fucking... And he said the SN word. And I just remember being like, whoa. Yeah. But it's like, no, that guy's... He really feels that way. Yeah. And you realize no, it's... The real hatred's still there. And then... But it's like, even that guy. Yeah. It's like, man, if you could somehow get that guy... just chilling at a barbecue with this gas station owner drinking a couple beers, he'd probably end up being like, man, you're all right.
I like you, little job, but you're awesome.
No, I probably shouldn't have said that, man. I know it's all, George Bush and them with the gas prices, man. I'm just trying to get shit to work, and I ain't got no money. And he's like, I have no money either. That's why we tried to move here. It's like, you mean we're both poor? We're both poor. Oh, we should be friends.
Poorness bring us together.
Yeah, it really does. And it's you realize, man, it's all that stuff. It feels like it's designed to keep you bickering, the right hand fighting while the left hand screws you over.
Yeah.
You know?
That's about how you put it.
Yeah. Oh, and it's like the older you get, the more clearly you see it, and so the more frustrated you get.
I actually
knowing you can't change it.
Yeah, I'm more like I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
That's how I am. It's like I used to get frustrated about it, but now I'm just like, let me just live my life.
Yeah.
Do what I can do to make change, and then whatever happens.
I need to get to that point. The only thing I do, I don't know if it's good or bad. I talked to, Latrice Wilkerson?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
hilarious.
she's super funny.
Super hilarious.
When she was on here, I was talking to her about it a little bit. I was like, I've noticed that white guilt kicks in when I'm like holding doors and stuff. She just laughed at me the same way. She's like, what? I was like, I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was like, but if there was any kind of like person, like a minority or something, I would be like extra hold the door and I smile. And she's like, they're probably looking at you like, who's this crazy white man smiling at me funny? But that was my version of like what little changes I can make, you know? And it's like, well, don't overdo it, Travis. Like,
yeah. Just, it's been so much other stuff going on in the world. You just gotta take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Not let it get to you. You not let it get to you. If it's gonna change, it's gonna change. If it don't, you just hope that it does.
I've gotten a lot better about that, about just like going with the flow on things. I used to try to control a lot of what I do, and you realize like, dude, you can't just roll with it.
Yeah, you gotta roll with it.
You know, and then stuff ends up working out. Like one of the reasons I'm changing studios is that they've just changed their price structure here, and it's just not going to work for what I want to do. And it's like no fault of their own. It's just the way it goes. And excuse me, I was super frustrated about that.
Yeah,
and then that made me look into other spots I could do. And then the new place I found, I was like, oh, well, for this money, I could get this, and I actually like this, and it's a little closer to the house, and like, oh, I can set it up this way and do that. And then you realize, like, no, that was kind of nice that happened. You know? And where I would used to want to like argue and try to control and get them to like come down to this price and keep doing it the way I was doing it.
Move on.
Yeah, and it's like I've gotten a lot better. I think having a kid has made me better about that.
That's one thing that I hope that I develop from having a kid. Like I have, like people, it's like people develop superpowers when they have a kid, like good or bad.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Good or bad. Some people, it's hard, man. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be. Like it's going to be hard,
really,
but it's hard. But then at the same time, I mean, my son's almost 3, so he's super cute. You really love him. He's so much fun, and then he's a fucking asshole. And he's so, I mean, literally the other day, he didn't want to take a bath, which we take a bath every day, and he's like, you know, we're like, hey, we're setting this alarm. We're playing outside. When it goes off, we're going to go inside and take a bath, right? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, so what are we going to do when this goes off? We're going to take a bath. I was like, you got it. And then when we tell him it's time to take a bath, screaming, crying. He's like fighting us the whole way. And then the second he sits in the bathtub, he like puts his feet under the bubbles and he's like, where are my feet, daddy? And he's like playing a game again. You're like, what is your problem, you little bipolar toddler? Like, it's brutal.
He played you like,
dude, it makes me worried. Yeah. But are you seeing anyone right now?
No, I'm single.
Well, how old are you though?
I'm 31.
31.
It's time for me to start.
You think so?
Yeah, I feel like it. I'm starting to feel like I'm starting to want to settle down. So yeah, I'm not like one of those like player type, like talk to multiple different women at a time. So I'm kind of ready to settle down.
Interesting.
But I'm single though.
What do you think you're going to do for the dating world? How are you going to make that work?
I'm scared. I'm scared.
What are you scared of?
Oh man, these women, dude.
If it makes you feel better, the women are going, oh, these men.
Yeah, no, yeah. No, and I know what they talk about when they be like, oh, these men. Like, you know. What
kind of girl do you think you want?
I don't know. Someone that's just, I don't know. You know, that's like, I'm not a controlling person. So I do want a girl who could think for themselves and stuff like that. And I'm kind of quiet and laid back.
Yeah, you seem like you'd be easygoing.
Yeah.
So maybe you'd like a woman that takes charge, right?
Yeah, like to be able to yell at people for me.
Yeah. Here's what we're doing this weekend. You're like, all right, babe.
Sure.
You got it.
Yeah. Exactly like that.
Do you think she'll need to have the same hobbies in terms of like games, anime, or do you think it's better if they don't?
If they don't, I wouldn't mind it, but just don't be like you're playing too much on the game or stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with somebody like that. Like, you're too much on the game, pay attention to me. I'm like, no, like, yeah. And I'm kind of dumb too. Like, I wouldn't know. Like, I wouldn't even pay attention to my wife, you know, unless she say something. So I don't know. Like,
dude, we're all dumb. First of all,
yeah.
You got to realize, like, this is the thing that was the most shocking point to me about like being married, having a kid, living with a woman was I used to watch all the sitcoms where there's like the buffoon guy who somehow lands the hot wife.
Yeah, like Peter Griffin.
Yeah, Peter Griffin. What is it, like King of Queens, all this kind of stuff. And like you're thinking like these sitcoms are so fucking stupid. Like I'm laughing, but this is a dumb premise. Like this guy, there's no way it's going to be like this. Yeah. And then the longer I'm married, I'm like, Jesus, I just did the thing. I'm doing the stupid shit that I thought was never real.
Yeah.
And it's like the stereotypes of those cheesy laugh track sitcoms are dead on.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest, like when I started noticing it, I was like, whoa, I thought I knew this, but I don't know anything.
I want to be though. I want to be one of them TV sitcom dads.
That's what you want to be?
Yeah, like
because it always works out.
Yeah,
it always ends up being okay. But just I'm trying to think of some of even the stupid stuff I've done recently. But you do, as a guy, you just end up doing horrifically stupid things.
Yeah,
where you're just like after the fact, you're like, oh God, I could have avoided this huge fight if I had just done this thing. Yeah,
and see, I'm right now. I don't even know. Apparently don't know when women are flirting with me. So.
Oh my God!
Never catch it.
That's normal, dude. You know Michael Paswar?
Yeah. I know.
We were working on his podcast for a while, and him and I think it was Raphael Sangili is how you say his name. He's another comic here locally, but we were all three talking about how all of us like we never picked up on any of the signs when a woman was flirting. Like one of their stories, I can't remember if it was Mike or Raphael, but like a really attractive girl invited him over to the house to help tutor her to study. And when he shows up, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, my parents aren't home. And he's like, oh, it's no problem. Like, we'll just study in the kitchen, so don't think anything's weird. And it turned into something like, I actually don't have my books with me. And he's like, that's fine. We can just share my book. And like, she's like, well, when we study like in the bedroom. And he's not picking up on any of the signals. And he's like, dude,
it could be hard to sit on the bed.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know if that's the most productive study area. And we were just going on and on about like, God, we could have been laid so many times when we were younger. And we just had no idea because no woman wants to be like, I'm really attracted to you. And
they always drop hints and I'm too dumb to catch them.
Yeah, because they want you to like make the move and like they want to feel like you're making the move on them, I guess. And it's just like, God, we are so stupid. It's like we literally need like a flashing sign to be like, I find you attractive.
Yeah, that's literally all I need. That's why I ain't really been looking. Like if a girl is able to catch my attention, then
you got to look a little, just a little. Well, what do you think are the most attractive things about a woman? Like, what would you look at and go, I think I'm going to talk to her? Like a stranger. You know, you did a comedy show, you go out, and there's somebody there, and you're like, ooh, hey. What is that for you?
I don't know. If a girl talks to me for more than 5 minutes, I'm interested.
You're in?
Okay.
That's cool.
Well, like attractiveness, like it's not just physical.
Sure.
You know, I'm starting to learn that at my older age. I don't really care what like you look like physically.
Yeah.
But like you got to just be able to, got to have it down packed mentally. Like,
dude, that's a good way to look at it because you learn real fast that like most women, there are extremely attractive qualities about all of them. Physically, just on the surface level, right? Yeah. That you're just like, oh, that's really pretty, or I like this about them. And it's definitely the can you tolerate them? Like, if you hang out with them, are y'all going to be on the same page, or are you going to be fighting about shit all the time?
Yeah, some gonna be crazy too. Like like I know it'd be some girl be doing voodoo magic and stuff like that. I'll be weary of them.
Oh God, I overheard. My wife and I were waiting for a table for dinner the other night, and there was a couple that was clearly on a date, like a first date maybe, and just standing next to us, and the girl's talking really loud, and they both seem like really nice people. And then all of a sudden she threw out like, well, my friend had me come over because she knows I'm a very like empathic person and that I'm typically capable of like seeing and sensing the spirits that are in the room. Yeah. And she starts jumping into all that. And you could just feel the guy's interest being like, well, we'll just get through dinner, I guess. You know, she's nice. Like, let's just eat a meal. And then she was just going on and on about like her ability to tap into the other realm and like... And it's like, she might be true. Maybe she's doing it. I'm not going to say 100% she's not doing that. But most of the people that say that are out of their mind and aren't doing it.
I'd be the worst person to be in that situation because I'd fuck with her about it.
You'd start asking questions
like, "Hey, what's my name? What's my middle name? I hadn't told you that."
Yeah,
like, you're doing shit
you're
like that.
If you were really psychic, you would know my bank account and you wouldn't be here.
What's tomorrow's lottery numbers?
Seriously, well, that's the biggest thing, right? No psychic has ever won the lotto.
Yeah, right.
That's how we know it's bullshit, right? They'd all be filthy fucking rich billionaires.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Well, what was the last date you went on?
Oh, wow. Jeez. That's sad.
I haven't been on a date in a really long time either.
I haven't either. But mostly, it's not because I ain't been like one. It's just I work a lot, so I ain't been really having time. It's been like maybe almost 2 years since I went on a date.
Yeah, you think you're going to jump on the apps, or how are you going to do it?
I don't. Oh man, that's how I used to be back in the day, and that's what you used to find a lot of unfavorable women.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to.
I would think in this anime world that you love. Dude, first of all, I see the women running around at these conventions.
Yeah.
It's even now. It's 50-50 women and men at these things.
Yeah.
So what about that world?
Yeah,
that seems like a great place to meet someone.
That's actually where I'm hoping. Like I can find Cinderella in like at a con or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like after a comedy show or something like that.
So if you go to a con, do you dress up?
No, I wear my headband and I wear like a graphic T-shirt like this. I'm thinking about doing it this year, but I probably won't.
Because I was thinking, if you're going there and you're like thinking maybe I'll hit on somebody, I wonder if it's a better move to dress normal so they know you, or to be in costume so they're like, oh, he's into that, I'm into that.
There's some costumes you could, well, not me, but it's some cosplay guys that wear like those like really like, I know this one guy dressed as M'Baku.
I don't know who that is.
He's if you've seen Black Panther, have you seen Black Panther?
I haven't.
It's he's like a part of the like Jabari tribe. It's like a big African buff guy.
Okay.
And he dressed as him, man. That dude was
and he's actually buff?
Yeah, he was like beating vagina off the whole weekend. Like figuratively and
just
literally.
This muscled up black tribal dude. Yeah. And they're all like, he's super strong and he's nerdy like me.
Yeah, he's just so
well, what would you want to dress up as if you did it at one of the cons?
I don't know. I'm not a dress up type, so I do want to be able to get down to the right size to be able to dress up like that, like where he was dressed up as, like M'Baku. That would be my main thing. But right now, I'm just T-shirt and Naruto headband.
Well, dude, speaking of dropping weight, how much have you dropped already? Because I saw your post the other day from like 2023 to 2022. Yeah. And it's a significant drop.
That's the thing. I don't know. Because like I still haven't stepped on a scale.
That's probably a good move.
Yeah.
That's probably a good move right now.
Yeah.
Because psychologically, it's like you just need to know that you're feeling better while you're losing weight, right? But were you really... So on Instagram, you made a post of 2022 versus 2023, roughly 1 year apart. But you'd mentioned in there that you were trying out for My 600-Pound Life.
No, I was.
You're joking? Oh, okay. I was like, are you fucking serious? Do you think you were at 550 though?
No, I was at 550. Right. I think, and like when I say I didn't really do much to. I think I did, because like that, when I saw I was like at 550, I'm like, shit, I'm almost 600 pounds. Wow. And that's when
Where were you when you weighed yourself and you saw 550?
I was at, I was working, because I work for Animal Control, and I was working at another city for Animal Control, and they have these big scales
for the animals.
Yeah, I got on it. And I was like, because that's the thing about being fat. That's probably the only way you can weigh yourself.
That's right. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's right. That's another thing I would imagine that makes it easier, because like even myself, I've put on weight compared to 15 years ago, and I'm actively trying to lose weight. Like I want to lose like 30 pounds, and the number is not an arbitrary number. Like that's to get to a weight that I used to be at that I was very happy with. And you realize that if you're not looking at numbers sometimes all the time, or if you don't have something to gauge it, that it slips real fast. Like a pound or two here and there comes on real fast. It does. So yeah, if you don't have scales that you can use, I imagine it can get out of hand pretty quick.
It can. And like all I did was just like, I'm big, but I was very. I'm still am kind of active too. But like even. I'll be a big guy. I was always active. I played football. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I've always been active, and I know how to diet myself. I know how to slow down eating. I'll still be fat, but like I know how to slow it down. Yeah, and I think that's what I did to make me lose weight. Like I slowed down some. Like,
I know what you mean. And it's like I hate even talking about it to somebody who's trying to lose more weight than me. So I'll tell you off air, but one of part of my career outside of this podcast, I've dealt with a lot of bariatric patients in the past. And that's when I really learned how much of the mental game there really is with it, right?
Yeah.
And then I started noticing it with myself, like the amount of times where I'm not even hungry, but I want to cruise into Taco Bell because it's on the ride home. And like the amount of times now that I've like pulled in, almost gotten in line, and then turned out. And then there's been a couple times where I've circled back and be like, no, I will get a taco, right? And you realize like it's so fucking mental. Like it's not like I'm not even hungry, but I'm craving it.
Food
so
is
bad.
like, I say this all the time, food is like a drug that you're allowed to have. Like nobody cares that you eat. Like nobody, if I was doing crack as much as I eat McDonald's, people be like, oh shit, something wrong with him.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, so and people don't notice that. And you once you start figuring that out, that it's more of a mental thing.
Yeah,
then it helps. Like that, like that was a before and after picture, but that's probably like my 5th before and after picture.
Really,
I've been up and I've been down.
Yeah,
I've been down at a good size. I've been up at a bad size. I think the worst was like the 550. So I'm glad I'm down away from that.
Well, what do you think is the best thing for you? Like what works for you when you've been doing it? When you've been dropping,
walking.
Yeah,
and I can stop drinking soda like in an instance, and drinking water is, people don't understand, drinking water is super, super important. And I drink water almost, that's like my drink of choice. So like I walk a lot. I can walk like 6 miles.
You know, I don't even know if it's still on. You remember the show The Biggest Loser?
Yeah, I remember the show.
That was one of the things that they didn't talk about, right? Is they show these intense workouts that they're doing, right? Once the cameras stopped rolling, they were all just walking on a treadmill on an incline. And that's how they lost the majority of their weight.
And see, I learned that, funny thing, I learned that in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like that it don't take the powering through weights and stuff like that. Cardio. It just takes cardio. And being big, I don't have to run. I can walk, do a brisk walk, and my heart's beating enough, and I'm burning the right type of calories.
That is kind of the upside for you right now, is that really all you need is light exercise and then try to work on the diet. And you can lose a lot that way.
You
know, it's once you get past that first big drop of weight, that's when it gets harder. Yeah. But right now, it's like you can mentally get there a lot easier. I worked with a woman who she was big. She had a bypass, but it was so strange because even after the bypass, she still had to have all this mental. She had to be very strict, all of her diets, her workout, and everything. And so I would talk to her a lot about, well, the amount of strictness you have right now. Why did you do the bypass at all? Why didn't you just do this and drop the weight? And she's like, you don't understand. She's like, I was out of control. I had to have it. And then afterwards, she was like, yeah, if I could have gotten to this point of focus, I never would have needed the surgery. She's like, but I just couldn't get there. But what she said was the biggest help for her through all of that was, she's like, she was telling me, she's like, you don't understand that everyone's telling you advice and all the advice is great. Yeah. She's like, but none of y'all know the issue that I have. Yeah. You don't fucking get it. So she found like support groups on Facebook and stuff that were all doing the same stuff. And she's like, once I found a group that was really like me and doing the same stuff, that had like the same fallbacks and all that kind of stuff, she's like, that's when my weight really dropped. Was like when it's somebody who understood exactly what I was going through, and I wouldn't look at them going like, you don't fucking know me. What are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I don't like personal trainers. Like, no offense to personal trainers out there, but
that was exactly her point. She's like, everything you're saying makes sense. Yeah, but mentally, I'm looking at you like
you've never been fat, so you don't know.
What do you know? Yeah. What do you know? And so she said once she found her people, and then they were all like kind of losing together, and they never met. It was all online, and then they would just share like, oh, I found out like I could still eat this if I do this. Yeah. And, they could get their recipes of things they like. And there was no like weird, like I like to run right now. And there's runners that are like so much more fit than I am, so fat. Yeah. And I look at them that same way. They're like, well, what you need to do is like eat this, do that. And it's like, dude, I'm just trying not to die. I'm just trying not to die when I run. Okay. I just don't want them to find me passed out from a heart attack. Yeah, right. It's like I appreciate what you're saying, but no. Yeah. So yeah. So have you found any group like that? Any kind of support system?
I'm not even. Cause I'm a loner. Everybody said I'm like a support group type of guy. Like so when it's weight loss, it's just me.
Man, not even like a support group. Just like somebody that you're in like a text chain with or something.
No,
you know what I mean.
I've tried that before. Like with friends that's trying to lose weight, and it does work in a way. But now I know what I need to do. It's I just don't do it. So I don't need the support group, and there's nothing against people who have it. It's just I don't need it. So
that's the other hard part is like you just have to find what works for you.
Yeah,
there's no one thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, a lot of fat people know how to lose weight. It's just we don't put them into play. So
yeah. Well, and there was one guy that worked out at the apartment gym that I went to all the time when I like a long time ago, and he was always working out in like khakis and a tucked in polo shirt. And like one day I finally like we chatted a little bit, and I got to the point where I was like, hey man, I got to ask you, like, is that not super uncomfortable to work out in those clothes? Like, what's the deal? Do you like that? And he's like,
a serial killer?
No, he was just like, look, dude, I'm big. He's like, I'm not about to buy a bunch of workout clothes and lose weight, and then I can't wear them. He's like, I'm going to wear these because it's what I got, and then when I drop a little weight, I'll buy some workout clothes.
I guess.
I was like, all right, well, it's but for him mentally that made, and he was down there every day, and eventually he bought some workout clothes, and I was like, all right.
Yeah,
I remember being a big day. He rolled in, and I was like, hey man, shorts, and he's like, yeah, shorts. I was like, all right. Like,
he's strong, dude. Cause cotton don't like you when you fat and you sweating. I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
The heavier the clothes when you fat, the worse it is.
Do you have a goal that you have in mind, or are you just rolling with it right now?
I'm just rolling with it. I do want to, like I said, I walk cardio, but I do want to be able to be like one, like one of them world's strongest man type guys. Like,
you want to be like that?
Yeah, like lift weight, still be kind of pudgy, but still like have a muscle mass. Like I want to start back lifting weights and shit like that.
That's good.
But
and weights, weights is good for cardio too.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to go about it. Yeah, that's a smart move. Yeah, because there is something nice too about being like there's the ripped guy, but then there's like the strong guy. You know what I mean?
Mark Henry,
dude. Like when you see those world's strongest men and they're like throwing beer kegs in the air, you're like, damn, that looks way cooler than abs.
I'd love to do stuff like that, like be able to throw the beer kegs and do like the world's strongest man.
You ever done any kind of stuff like that? Like, did you ever do powerlifting or anything?
I did powerlifting in high school. Yeah. For a little bit. It was just like training. We never got to do competitions because it's high school in the hood. They couldn't get the right registration. Something to do with insurance or something like that for it.
Were you closer to that back then? Like, were you bigger but stronger?
I was, yeah. I was like, oh man, I was, how high school weight. Like I was a stallion, but I still had a belly.
No, I remember those guys like, because in cross country for basketball, like the football guys would be in there lifting weights, and you'd see the linemen in there where it's like, that dude's that fucking strong.
See, I had stopped playing football, but I was still built like a lineman.
Oh,
and I was in band just lifting weights. I go like, get done with band, go lift weights, and then we do like the little bodybuilding stuff, like well, not bodybuilding, like the powerlifting stuff, exercises and shit like that.
So weights seem like that's going to be the thing for you, huh?
Yeah, I love like two things I like in like exercising is I like weights and I love martial arts. So those are two things I probably go back to doing to help like get to that.
How long did you do jiu-jitsu?
On and off 3 years. And I competed the year. Like the last year I had competed, that's when I had stopped doing it. But that's because work got crazy.
My wife had someone tell her that she needs to do it just because she wanted like a workout thing. And I've been telling her for years. And like now that we have a kid, it feels like she gets more, she gets in more opportunities where like if somebody wanted to like carjack her or something like that, because she's distracted like with a baby and stuff. And she, for a while she really wanted a gun, and I was like, I don't want you to have a gun, just because most people end up shooting the spouse accidentally. Like I'm going to come home
for your safety.
Yeah, like during the week I went out to the open mic at Twilight Lounge, and so I'm coming home at like midnight, and it's like I don't want to open the door at midnight and you shoot me because you think I'm an intruder, because that's a real thing. Yeah. And so when someone brought up jiu-jitsu to her, I was like, you should 100% do jiu-jitsu because. All you need to do is like be able to flip somebody and run away.
Yeah, judo and jiu-jitsu would be perfect for you.
Oh, yeah. And then it made me go like, well, shit, I'd want to do that too. But I've always gotten edgy around jiu-jitsu just because it's such a group activity. And I'm kind of like you in a loner sense. Like I like to do my workouts by myself at my pace. But in jiu-jitsu, you're going to have to work with people.
It's kind of like, but it's not, you're only working with one, because like, I'm a loner, but I still love Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's comparable to comedy in a lot of ways because you're working out new shit. The only thing you're doing it physically, and you have somebody there with you. It's kind of like a dance a little bit. It sounds weird to say that, but like
no, that's what makes me feel weird about it. Is is literally like okay, I'm going to have to be in physical contact with a stranger. And I don't know, like that makes me a little like a little uncomfortable, you know? Yeah. So was it that way when you first started? Like, do you get over that quick or?
No, because I've always been a fan of like the UFC.
Yeah.
And so it's something that I always wanted to do. So it was something I already expected. And then playing football, you know, you're already physically in contact.
Yeah.
With people,
I mean, I guess that's true. It's like, you know, I grew up, it's like, it's weird. Like, I'm totally comfortable being in a locker room showering with naked guys.
I'm not comfortable with that.
See, right. But if you have on clothes and it's like, all right, so you're going to wrestle me to the ground. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I just feel weird, man. I'm going to grab you here. Is that, I don't know.
But your survival instinct kicks in.
Good point.
You're trying to fight. Yeah. So you just have that mindset still. So you're trying to you're not worried about his nuts on your back. You worry about him trying to.
I don't even worry about it from like oh, that's gay. Like I don't think about that. It's more of just like a
sweaty guy.
Yeah, like what if I smell bad and I'm right on top of him? Like that's going to be weird. Like, you know,
I feel you.
It's like the personal space. It's not like it's not that it's a dude. It could be anything. And I would just be like, this is weird. Like, but I see it. I'm like, God, I think I would really like that. Yeah. You know, and it's like I don't want to like go out there and kick ass. I just want to know that if anyone attacked me, I could put them on the ground and get away. Just get away. That's all I want to do is just get away. You know, I don't need to like. You know, oh, I could fuck you up. Like, I'm not that person. I just need a couple good hits, get you down on the ground, and let's get out of here. Yeah. You know? But it looks really intriguing. I thought about doing boxing for the same reason.
Because
boxing's more solo, great cardio.
You'd like it if you want to be by yourself.
Really?
Because you still have to do spar, but a lot of the workouts are just bag work.
I would think I would love that.
Yeah.
I just need to know the techniques. Like, I can go hit a bag right now, but I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And see, it took me a long time to learn how to hit a bag the right way. Like, to put your hip into it.
Yeah.
And it takes your whole body to throw a punch.
Yeah, because every dude likes to think they know how to throw a good punch.
Yeah.
And most of us don't.
No.
We're all like, yeah, man, I'm fucking, you know?
And then you have them guys that go in there and they'll be in the gym hitting the bag and like making noise like, huh, but like, dude, you just arms, bro.
Yeah. And I think I have a ton of anxiety, and I think that would be great for anxiety to know that that it's less likely that somebody could fuck with you. And I don't worry about it for me because I'm like you. I'm pretty friendly. I can get along with people. I don't get in a lot of confrontation like that. Yeah. But now I get worried that I have my son with me. Yeah. Like if there was a crazy person that came up and I had to protect my son, if one of these homeless dudes was just a little too bath salted out today, that I could just get us away from him. You know, or just, I don't know, man. He has given me so much anxiety about safety.
I feel you on that one. I don't even have kids, but I know what you mean.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Like, because if it's just me, it's just like, well, I just won't turn down that street. I'll just go this way. You know, I can find my way out of stuff or whatever. But you just, I don't know. You never know. Yeah. And people get weird.
People weird nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're thinking get back in jiu-jitsu, huh?
I'm thinking, not. It probably won't be because this year's busy. It's real busy this year. So probably fall, I'll probably start back getting into it.
You know, the other thing is I don't even know how you find like a good spot. How you find like if I went to find a boxing place, I want to know that the guy who's teaching me, coaching me
is good.
Like I'm not going to get a professional, obviously. Like they're working with real people that pay them real money. I just don't want the guy who started coaching like 3 months ago. And you know,
I actually use it, which is funny. Like back when I used to do park enforcement, when I was in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a lot, I used to train at Moeller. So it's
right over here,
right down the street. And
good spot.
Yeah,
because that's where I was telling my wife. I was like, go check that out. It seems, you know, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, it looks nice outside. Like it must be a good place.
No, they're legit. Actually, he's had UFC fighters.
Okay,
and I think he got some in Bellator, and like he's got fighters that's in like actual championships. And I mean, you know, is in actual promotion. And not only that, there's a lot of people that's worked with him that's lost a lot of weight. And he teaches his classes. I don't know, like it's been a while since I've been there, but I think it's still the same way, like where he teaches his class and you learn a lot from him. And he's like a real laid back guy too.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest fear for her and me would be going to a gym where you got people who want to be like badasses and then they hurt you. You know what I mean? You accidentally get hurt because they're like showing out, and it's like, dude, we're here for like exercise and a little self-defense.
See, they understand that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like there's those people where they're like, this is their chance. Like,
balls to the wall,
badass man. You know, I want that gym where if they see that person, they shut it down real fast. And they're like, oh no, dude. Because I worked with this guy. He was like 55 years old, been doing jiu-jitsu a long time, and he started out wrestling, so he had like the ears where you're like,
the cauliflower.
You're like, he's actually done some shit, and he was stacked, and he was like, yeah, we had one of those guys in our gym, and then we just put him with one of our guys who's trying to be pro, and they just beat the shit out of him for a little bit, and that guy doesn't do that anymore. I was like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. I think I might like your gym.
What I do when I was in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I used to always go to the higher belts because it was hard. Like when you big and you're in it, it's not a lot of other big people is beginning out with you, so it's hard to find people to roll with. Whereas if you go up to like a purple belt, they'll want to roll with you because they want to learn new shit and they want to learn how to roll with a big person. And stuff like that.
So it's a challenge for them, but they're also controlled enough to know how to work with you.
Yeah, and like I've had guys like smaller than you like bitch me out on the mat. Really? Yes.
Oh,
yeah, like
I see that. Yeah. Interesting.
But it's fun. Fight sport's fun.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to know they can hold their own, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like everybody's got a little more confidence,
When I was doing it, I had a little bit more confidence. Now, not so much, but when I was doing it, I had a little bit more confidence.
Yeah. What gives you more confidence, doing that or comedy?
Comedy.
Yeah? Comedy gives you more confidence?
Yeah, it does.
What about it gives you confidence?
It's just being able to because you're by yourself on that stage. I mean, it's a crowd there, of course, but still, like you're by yourself.
Yeah, you're the only one working.
Right. So it gives you a lot of confidence to be able, I could go in front of these people and talk and make them laugh. And it gives you a lot more confidence at every show.
I love comedy so much. I have no desire to do it though because I don't want to pull back that curtain. I think I always want to be a fan. I always want to enjoy it from this side.
Oh, really?
I like learning everything I learned from talking to you guys.
Yeah.
But I think the moment you step on that stage, you cross over forever, right? It's totally different now. And so I like just watching it from this side. But the only parallel I have to it was being a musician. You get up on stage, but I've always said it's totally different because you have, like, I play guitar, so you have that guitar in front of you. It's almost like a shield, like you got something between you and the audience, and then you're usually up there with 2, 3, 4 other people, so you're failing together, right? Where you guys, when you fail, it's like it's just I'm all alone.
Yeah. Right. That's exactly how it is. Yeah.
What is the hardest bomb you've ever had? What's your worst story so far?
I don't know. It was my first banger show at Dallas. Shout out to Dallas Comedy Club, my favorite place.
Yeah,
it was the first banger show. Which, if you would have watched it, you'd be like, you did good. Like everybody was like, I did good, but I know I did like not that good because it was my first time doing a show ever outside of doing open mic, and so I'm going there with the open mic mindset. Quick jokes. Get it done quick and get off the stage. Went there. I got through my material in 6 minutes, and I'm supposed to have been up there for 10.
And now you just got 4 minutes of silence. Huh?
Yeah, I know. I left the stage. You
just got off? Yes. You're like, and we're
but everybody was like, the crowd was like, good job. Everybody was
like, the host is running up like, Jesus, man, it's early.
Yeah, that did. Everybody was like, everybody, oh yeah, you did good. People in the crowd wanted to take pictures with me. I was like, I didn't do good, people. What are you talking about? Like when I listened to the audio, it was like, because the last per minute thing. I did the count, and it was decent last per minute.
So that's not really a bomb though. Then. So you haven't had a real horrible moment.
That's a bomb
yet.
For me.
For you, yeah. But I mean, you haven't got up there and it just wasn't clicking and had dead silence yet.
Not yet. Not yet. It's been where I am doing my 5, and there's a joke I told that is dead silent, but I immediately after pick up with a laugh.
But it's going to happen at least once. Like it's on the way, right?
And I'm kind of like
that's a strange feeling, right? That it's like that would almost make me more nervous when you're like, it's going well. It's not supposed to be going well yet. Like
I kind of wanted to happen so I could just get it out the way, like this. But it hadn't happened yet.
Maybe you should just bomb on purpose one time just to do it.
No, But I'm starting to do a lot more traveling this year. So
where are you getting out to?
I know I go in Philadelphia is the big one because we got the Roots Festival.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's for the podcast, right? So you're gonna get some time while you're up there.
Yeah, I'm get some time when I'm up there. Not at the festival.
Just in the city.
In the city, I'm gonna get some time. So I'm gonna see how my jokes work in another city.
That's gonna be great, man. That's gonna be great because I love Dallas Comedy Club. Like no disrespect there at all, but one of the things that they do that is double edged, like it's really great, but it's also a little harmful, is they are so positive. They're so friendly.
The crowd is.
Oh, the crowd, the performers, the people that work there, like they're all
I know what you mean.
It's very, very positive. So when you're starting, that's really great because it gives you confidence, but then it's also not great because it could give you some false confidence, right? So that'll be great for you to get out of town and just feel a different energy.
Because I did Philly last year. It was a con. I did comedy and it went really well. So and I was like, I got to get out to more different states to start doing stand-up, see if it works. And if it doesn't work in these places, I know what I need to fix and what I need to do better.
I mean, that's just the move anyway, right? Like you just got to perform everywhere you can instead of the same spots. That way you just get, you sharpen everything up really well.
Well, I'm always at Dallas Comedy Club. I don't, because I work a lot. So I don't get to do the other open mics around the city. So that's another reason why I want to start like doing work in other, like, doing stand-up in other cities because I'll never get the time off here to do it here.
Well, dude, if you're willing to record a tape by yourself in your house to send to a comedy club owner, that's really all you got to do to the other clubs. Once you get your material down, you just got to start making tapes.
And at that moment, I forgot to mention, at that moment, the DCH had already closed down, so he wasn't.
That's right.
So so he wasn't even a comedy club owner at that time. So
he's just a random person now that has your tape. You know how great it would be if you hit it big and he's got this old tape of you somewhere. That would be so awesome. And then you guys had that little connection forever. That'd be great.
Give that to your grandkids. Sell it for a rocket ship or something like that.
Sell it for a rocket ship. Jesus, what is that? The Office?
Yeah.
So when he collects the stuff from
the Scranton Strangler.
That's right. When he drove by, he's like, "This was where the Scranton Strangler was." Oh my God! Don't get me on a little Office loop.
Oh man, don't get me on it, bro. That's the greatest American sitcom. One of the greatest.
I would say, I mean, it's always generational, right? That's our generation, but I think it's the greatest.
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest. Like, I can't think of one that makes you laugh, as hard, that consistently with, like, new premises still. Yeah. You know what I mean? It wasn't the same old shtick all the time.
Well, it was on Netflix. I used to binge it every.
Well, I bought all the DVDs before Netflix was a thing. I was always buying the DVDs.
That's how I got hooked.
Yeah, and they used to have the commentary and everything on there too, so you could listen to all these guys talk about it.
Yeah,
so much fun. And now, like, the closest thing you can get to that, really, if you don't have the DVDs, is you can go listen to like.
The Office Lady podcast.
Yeah, the Office Lady.
I listen to that religiously.
Yeah, Kevin, what's his name? Brian Baumgartner. Yeah. He's got his podcast. But oh my God, dude, I've got like 4 or 5 friends. All we don't communicate with words. We just send office memes.
That's how me and my friends too.
Yeah, we might have 2 or 3 real words in there, but it's just, and some of my friends, they've bought me like office t-shirts and it's like, we don't buy gifts. And you know what I mean? And like one dude was like, remind me your address again. I was like, why are you coming over? He's like, you'll see. And he just mailed me a shirt and I was like, thank you so much, dude. This is like this is better than any gift my wife has given me.
And I would, that's what she said.
Oh my God.
I still say that. And I don't care how immature people it makes me look. I still say it.
You know what's funny though is we're getting old enough now that there's a whole generation of youngsters that have never seen The Office.
Yeah.
And I get to be like the old guy who shows them clips. And sometimes it hits really hard. And then sometimes they're just like, cool.
What is this?
Cool.
Yeah.
Why do they have flip phones? Oh man. Well, I want to, before we close this out, what do you think this year are your biggest goals with comedy? Because you're still new, and I always get very fascinated with people who are at that early stage of comedy. But like over the next year or two, like what do you think your move is going to be to grow your comedy career? What would you like to do?
Just I don't know. I just want to stay consistent. Just do my shows. And as far as like stay funny, I can't really say what I like. I'm still trying to figure myself out. Still trying to figure out my style and stuff like that. But I do just want to stay consistent, stay on shows, stay funny. And
what do you think is the hardest thing right now that keeps you from writing, progressing, doing whatever? What's the biggest thing that holds you up? Writer's
block. Like I have, it'll be sporadic time. Like I think I'm using that word right.
Yeah, you are.
But it'd be times where I could just write, and then it's times where I can't think of nothing, and I need to fix this. Like I have jokes that I know that are funny, but I still need to add this in to fix it, to clean it out, and like it just it gets annoying.
When you get writer's block, do you try to power through, or do you just stop? What do you do?
I stop. It's no
go do something else.
Yeah, because there's no point of powering through, because even if you are able to squeeze something out, it's not gonna like give you the same. It's not as good as when you're flowing. So that's what like that's the hardest thing, because I write a lot. Like most of my stand up is writing before
physically write it down.
Yeah, physically write it down.
Pen to paper, or do you type it out?
Pen to paper.
Pen to paper. Interesting. How much of the pen to paper actually makes, like, do you try to go word for word, or is it like an outline?
It's like an outline.
Yeah.
Or like I write down part of a bit. So I like, it's weird where it works where like I write down part of a bit, and since I got it written down, I remember the full bit. So, or if I think of something new for that bit, I write that new thing that I thought of down, so I could just have it in my memory.
Your memory? Yep. That's good.
In my memory.
Yeah. The writing part, that's really elusive, right? Everybody does it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Did you take any comedy classes, or did you dive right into it?
Well, I did dive right into it. Like, but after when DCC opened up, that's when I started taking the comedy.
You
classes.
went through their comedy thing? What'd you think of that?
It was, excuse me. It was fun. Like, and it taught me a lot. My first teacher was Katie Evans. And
she's great. I love Katie. Yeah,
she was amazing, and I learned a lot, and it taught me a lot. It taught me how to set my jokes up better. Taught me how to write better, and what to write for, what to look for when I'm writing a joke. And she did a great job. And then I had CJ Starr. I did his class also.
I didn't know he was teaching.
Yeah, he's a real good teacher.
I'm glad to see these comics that are doing comedy or teaching.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It is.
Katie frustrates me though.
Really?
Katie, if you're listening, because she's very funny, but I don't know if it's just because she's got a great job or career or whatever. I don't know if she even wants comedy to be a full-time thing or what, but I don't see her perform as much as I want to. And she's so funny.
Hilarious, dude.
She's so funny,
hilarious.
man. And I just really love the way she writes.
Yeah.
And so I want her to perform more. I don't know why she doesn't. I'll have to shoot her a message or something, but it's hard to send a message and be like, why aren't you performing?
Yeah.
But both her and Shai
is hilarious too.
Yeah. And he seems to be pushing more than her. So I don't know, like, if there's a reason, if it's just she's happy teaching a class, doing a show here and there, like what her goals are. But I love that she's teaching though, because she's super funny.
Well, I don't think she teaches anymore, but when DCC first opened, she was teaching.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, she's great to learn from, man.
Yeah, I learned a lot from her.
Like, she's kind of intimidating, right?
No.
You don't think so?
She's kind of like the cool older sister.
I view her as someone who's intelligent, has kind of got her shit together, and that's a little intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she seems like, I don't even know how to, she's got like her own swagger, I guess, where it seems like she's smarter than you probably.
Yeah. And see, I like being around people that's smarter than me. That
I like being around it, but it's still intimidating.
Yeah, because I'm dumb. So if I'm in the room and I'm the only smart person there, I'm scared. So I like being around smarter people. I think that's why, I get that vibe from her.
That's good. That's good. You have a much more positive response to that than I do. You don't go fear-based like I do. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. And again, the final episode, the final interview, we will always be connected in this studio, so that's always going to be fun.
This is amazing.
And then as soon as the new one's open, I'm bringing you back in anyway.
Please.
To catch up on everything.
I would love to, dude.
Yeah. Where is your preference for people to follow everything you do? Because you're doing your podcast, you're doing comedy. We didn't even talk about the what is it? Stories of the Grove.
Story from the Grove.
Story from the Grove.
Yeah, that's on hold now. But because I did write, because like I said, I used to be in animal control. Real quick, I used to be in animal control, and there's a lot of things in animal control that I experienced that you didn't think people experience, like on the scenes with murders, like drug bust and stuff like that. So I wrote a book about not what I seen, but I just told stories about inspired by the stuff I seen. Yeah. And I put it in this book, and it's a really quick read. A lot of people, I've been getting a lot of good reviews from it, and it's still available. It's called Arrived on Scene. The Diary of Roy Zander is on Amazon Prime. And
Roy Zander's the character?
Yeah, he's the character.
And that's all loosely based off your work? That's awesome.
It's a lot of dope stories in there. I have stories where, there has been where there was a drug situation. These people came by, killed almost this whole family, except for like this one little girl. And nobody could go in and do the investigation because they had these huge pit bulls in the house. Yeah, so And that's in animal control. Usually they can't do an investigation until you remove the dog from the scene. So you got to go there and see the dead bodies laying up on the bed. And
you're like, in the meantime, you're trying not to like fuck up a crime scene and all that kind of stuff. Oh, wow. And that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Dude.
I put a lot of that in the book too. So it's a really good read. And people should go check it out. If you don't know what animal control officers go through and you wouldn't think they went through this type of stuff, like read that book. You'll see, get a good insight.
Yeah. Listen, man, over the next 2 years, if you don't have some incredible material about animal control and parking stuff and all that, it's like, dude, you got so much to draw from. There's no excuse for you to have writer's block right now.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's because you live that stuff, you don't think it's that interesting. Right? Because it was over such a long period of time. You don't, but if you really sit down and just start writing down each story, you'll be like, fuck, that's really weird. That was wild.
Yeah.
You got to talk about that stuff, man.
I'm playing, like, I've worked animal control into my set. So I'm starting working it in more and parking enforcement stuff, because there's stories there. I know it's stuff there, and I'm just slowly, as I progress, I think as I grow as a comedian, I'll be able to know where that stuff fits and how to make it into a joke and stuff like that.
Yeah. Dude, you know how much fun it would be for you to perform like a full parking enforcement set just for parking enforcement people?
It'll be great.
You know what I mean? Like, we could do you could do a convention in every city just for the parking enforcement people. And they'd like, because you would get it. You're one of them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I've done a show. It's been a show at Dallas Comedy Club where we did our graduate class.
Yeah.
When we did CJ Starr's class. I think it was CJ Starr's class, and most of the crowd, because there's another guy in the class who was an animal control officer, and he's popular at his job, and a lot of people from animal control came to the show, and my jokes was like on point, like they was hitting with everybody, awesome. Like, so it'll work.
Hell yeah,
one day.
So Instagram, is that where?
Yeah, Instagram.
It's for the grannies.
Yeah.
If you're trying to hook up with a granny today, go to Instagram.
Go to Instagram. They're there. Yeah. But X-Men PG, that's where you can follow me on Instagram, and you can follow the podcast, The Trap Nerds Podcast, streaming on Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us. If you're into comic books, anime, and we don't just talk comic book anime on there. We have a lot of current event stuff going on too. So just check us out. It's amazing.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thanks for coming on, dude. Excited to see where it goes from here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Man.
The I'm a Fan of podcast, music, comedy, and more.